Okay, welcome to another episode of Better Business Bureau's Building Better Business, where we sit down with some of the top business leaders throughout New England and entrepreneurs. I'm Paula Fleming, Chief Marketing and Sales Officer of the local Better Business Bureau. Today, we're going to sit down with Jeremy. Say it again. Cyrier.
Cyrier.
Cyrier. See, that's what makes it really a live kind of vlog. From MANSARD Commercial Property, where they sell your commercial property with confidence, which is really exciting to me because, unlike many people, I'm actually married to someone who is in that exact industry.
Oh, you are.
Yes, I am. So I read a little bit about you, which many people can do, but it's great to put a face to the business. I saw, quite interestingly, on your website that after a trip to West Africa while studying for your PhD, that drove you to start this business. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, it's a funny question because the people always ask me, how did you go from almost being a professor of African history to a commercial real estate professional?
Right.
And I got to tell you, I probably was born to be a teacher, and ended up in sales, which I've actually heard that a lot of teachers make really good salespeople because
Mm-hmm.
they're good at explaining things to people.
And have to have
So
patience.
I was I was on track to be a professor, and sort of just had a mid 20s life crisis, and decided to make a career change. So my plan had always been to be a real estate investor, live in some college town, live the romantic life of a professor, writing books and teaching, like Indiana Jones. And then I decided that, well, if I do that, I'd like to invest in property. So when I decided to leave school, I basically flipped my life, and I went into real estate as a profession, but kept my teaching active. Except instead of teaching history, I now teach commercial real estate professionals around the U.S.
Wow. That's amazing. And it sounds like it's obviously worked out because you're a member of the Better Business Bureau. You're headquartered in Andover and you're a significantly large business currently. Do you want to tell us about the size of that you have grown the business to be and how you have come to be such a strong force in the commercial real estate industry?
Well, it's interesting. I sort of think of us as where the word boutique is so cliche at this point, but we're a small company. We're focused primarily in a market that in the greater Boston area is it would be called a low to mid market in commercial real estate, meaning that we're serving owners of investment property that are primarily between that $1 and $20 million range, and that range tends to be somewhat overlooked by the global service providers because it's hard to it's I think some of them have a hard time making the fee revenue on those size transactions that we can.
Mhm.
So it allows us to come in and provide some expertise to folks that they may not be receiving that in our market area,
Mhm.
and to spend some time really getting to know them. And I tell you, one of the big things we talk about here in the office is everyone wants to be different. Like, oh, my business is different, that's why you should work with me. I say, well,
Right.
what makes your business different? And so what we talk about here is that one of the things that differentiates us is the discovery, and it's really getting to coming to a point of meeting people where they are,
Mm.
and understanding what their challenges are, because most people are kind of lost. They don't know why they're lost. They know the symptoms they're experiencing, but they don't necessarily know what's driving that.
Mhm.
So we spend a lot of time really trying to understand where people are, meet them there, ask them lots of questions, and understand, okay, where are you, and then where would you like to go, and does our process solve that for you? And if
Mhm.
it doesn't, that's okay. that's okay. We'll connect you with someone else who can, or make recommendations for other directions you can go in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's kind of how we approach the business, and probably why we see so much repeat business with our client base, why they come back to us deal after deal.
Okay. I saw in a recent quote that you actually look at the pandemic differently than many people I've talked to, in which you're actually finding that businesses are taking the opportunity to kind of meet their employees closer to home. I'm not sure if you recall saying this, but can you elaborate a little bit about that? Because I find it so interesting. I know for us, the Better Business Bureau, we're in charge of 4 states locally, and we're all at home. So I have an office at home set up. And I was wondering how this would affect you. Often drive around and see empty buildings. But you take it a more positive spin on this, and I'm just curious to hear more about that.
Well, it's look, this whole thing has forced us to pull back and reassess how we do life, how we do work, and it's been a painful and challenging time for people on many levels. But there's often good at work in this, and so we try to find where the good can be found and how to bring that out and express what opportunity looks like in the market. So one of the things we see, and we're constantly trying to figure out where product type is heading, whether it's multifamily, industrial, office, or retail property, because the nature of use is changing before our eyes at a very rapid pace. So when you talk about employers and employees, this is really one of those times where the employer has been pushed to make decisions, not just from a pure liability perspective, because look, at the end of the day, a lot of companies just want to CYA in by not having people come in and get sick and then have liability for that. That aside, there's I think there's a real emphasis on how are people working, how can they be better for the company, more productive, more profitable, and what type of environments do they want to work in. So if we can focus on those questions, in my experience, there's nothing that someone working for a company likes better than having an organization that takes a minute to ask about how to serve them and provide them with an environment where they can be productive, they can develop professionally, develop personally. I think personally with the home office thing, I can't do it. I mean, I just can't. I have 4 kids, 9 and under.
Oh my!
And we threw a puppy in, COVID puppy through
Wow.
this whole thing. So there's no way. I mean, if we were having a conversation right now, they'd be in here, knocking on the door. Dad,
Right.
can I have a waffle?
Right.
So a lot of folks I've talked to have said it's like living at work.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get out. I miss the shared experience of working with people, culture building, connection, the learning, the pace of learning, and exchange of ideas that happens from being in a shared environment. So I think we're going to see, just on the office end of things, we're going to see a rebalancing of how important the office is. Was the commute into Boston every day really worth it for folks that have been doing the hour and a half drive into the city? And if not, maybe there's some flexibility where I can still go in, work with people in person, but also work remote. And that may be, hey, I need to get out of the house. Can we have a satellite office nearby where I can go and work with a couple other associates that live in the area? Or can we really, make a home office situation that makes sense? So I think it's still unraveling this, but I'm sensing now, and from what I'm seeing in transaction discussions, that companies are starting to get a sense for what they want to commit to on the office trajectory.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I found it interesting. I'm not a stalker, I promise, but I do my due diligence prior, although I still can't pronounce names apparently. But I promise I do my due diligence. And I noticed that as an entrepreneur, as a president of a company, you're on Facebook and you're actually not specifically looking for business because you already have the business. You're looking for the real estate, right? And I found that very interesting. Do you want to tell me what led you to the mindset around using Facebook as, well, I think it's incredible. It's genius if you ask me, because everyone's on Facebook, and you never know who you're going to interact with. But what led you to use that as a tool to success?
Well, the thing with social media is, frankly, it's for us, it's a way for us to build presence in the market.
Mm-hmm.
And presence is another word for awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of connects with awareness. So someone who is becoming aware that they may have a need for information about the service we provide. The social media channels give us the opportunity to remind them we're here as a resource to help out, to have a conversation. And ultimately, the channels are inviting them back to our website where they can engage with content. We have free PDF content, guides, reports that you can download to get some answers to questions without having to talk to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of do your research. And at that point, if you decide you want to speak with someone, we're available to do that. So we're using it. That's really sort of how we're using it, as another form of, we're here. If you're interested in having a conversation, we're available. If not, that's okay.
Okay. That's great. And honestly, you're one of the few CEOs that I've actually seen using and utilizing it personally. So that's phenomenal. Another question I had was, and I'm sorry, I keep going. I just find it very interesting. How many employees do you have at the company currently?
There's just 4 of us.
Just 4 of you. And do you set, for example, I'm sure the pandemic has altered your budget, has altered your expectations in some manners. How do you set expectations during this time for your employees or your team members?
So we've had we're actually 3 of us are in the office today.
Okay.
Working. And we've had some stretches where we've gone remote. Mm-hmm. And we've gone remote primarily around the holidays and around a spike in numbers, mm-hmm. where we started to have, hey, my aunt got sick, or our babysitter got sick. So okay, let's just take a break. Let's work from home. And so and the other thing is, use your best judgment. If you feel comfortable coming in, come on in. If you don't, that's okay. We'll support you. You can work from home and you can Zoom in, and we'll have our meetings and we'll connect that way. Mm-hmm. But frankly, I'll tell you, our team wants to be in the office.
I don't blame them.
We've gone remote. We'll mm-hmm. have our team meeting, and I'll check in. How's everyone doing? We want to come back in. We just like being in the office better.
Right.
So we've basically, there's some, I guess, being a small team, we have we can afford more latitude.
Okay.
With, if you want to come in, great. If you don't, that's okay. But we're not going to mandate either one. Mm-hmm. But I will make a decision when necessary as the leader that, hey, we're going to need to be remote for this period of time.
Okay.
No one's going to go into the Christmas season getting sick because somebody at work was sick, and then you're not able to celebrate with your family. That's not going to happen here. So that essentially, that's basically how we've approached it. Okay.
As a leader, and I have found that, and what you said is accurate, which is, I feel like everybody thinks it's glamorous to work from home until they're actually doing it. Paula gets to work from home 1 day a week, and now we're all home working 5 days a week, and they're like, oh, this is horrible. You mentioned your 4 children. I have a 16-year-old who's running back and forth. It's hard to say, I'm on a TV interview, and then all of a sudden we didn't think you were quiet for a minute, and they run behind me. So I can feel it's very stressful. And no one expected this for us to be where we're at today. What is something that you might share to our viewers, or you'd like to share, that you feel is maybe a tool that you can't go without, pandemic or not? So for me, I know communication is key for my team. So Trello is like, Monday and Trello are two different systems that I use. Monday for my marketing ad agency, and then Trello for internal communication with teams. Is there anything that you can share for those, people that are either wanting to start a business or are running a business but finding themselves overwhelmed? A tool that your go-to?
So a technology tool?
Yes.
It's a good question. I mean, I'm gonna go really old fashioned with you on this one and just say the iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one of the things we've actually been complaining lately in the office about email overload. We can't. It's almost like our emails just getting. Sometimes I actually miss communication from clients because we have so much coming in.
Oh, wow.
And so we're now working as a team to sort of fix that. Where email used to be a great productivity communication tool, it's become really noisy and disruptive, and it's actually exhausting going through making a decision. What am I going to do with this? Am I going to act on this, save this, come back to this? So it's more so the phone. Look, if we can't do this, through video, sometimes it's not as tiring to be on the phone.
Right.
Because right now you and I are talking, and we're, there's a visual thing, and then there's an audio thing happening. But on the phone, sometimes it's just the fastest way to connect and share information.
Do you think that it's, I hate to say this, but generational, where
Absolutely.
they don't want to communicate on the phone. They don't want to pick up the phone. They don't want to answer the phone. People are just so quick to send an email. And typically the email is very short and I need further follow up. And this could be anyone from an anchor to a business owner. And I'm thinking, just pick up the phone and in 2 minutes we could resolve this rather than 10 emails. Do you find
Well, this is absolutely. So here's how I look at this. Speed of communication has accelerated. The quality of communication, I'm not sure that that's accelerated. So for you and I to have this conversation via text or email, I mean, how many texts and emails would we have to send back and forth?
And how many emojis?
And then how much misunderstanding would there be?
Right.
So much. So if we look at how we communicate, and again, this gets back to really differentiating in the discovery. I want to learn everything I can about you, what's going on, how I can help you to get to where you want to go. How's the best way to do that? Well, the best way to do that is at the highest level of information being exchanged. So none of us communicate at 100%. About 80% in person. We have my body language, my tone, eye contact, the words I use. Those are all information cues that you're receiving. When we hop on the phone, it's about 50%, because you're not seeing me anymore.
Right.
You're hearing my voice. You're hearing the pause, the intonation, how meaning may come through. On email, it's like 30%. And you get down to text, it's 10, 15%.
Right.
And I tell people that's why people break up over text.
Yep.
They don't want to tell them, they don't want to explain.
Right. Friendships ends, relationships end. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we have, in this environment, that's why I say the phone's so valuable. Video is great. We'll do video meetings, but most of the time it's the fastest way to get the information and communicate. And for a generation that's come up with, hey, just text me back the answer, text me the information, trying to essentialize and gut everything down to really a commodity sized piece of information or data. It's very inefficient. It's actually really inefficient.
That's a good answer. Not one I thought.
Yeah. So that's my outlook on it. I think there's, hey, let's hop on the phone. I don't want to do 50 emails.
Right. Well, I'm with you, except I don't have an iPhone. I have a Droid. And it's usually always within my reach.
Yeah.
If not in my back pocket.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's the phone. The phone still works. And if people don't want to answer the phone, can't make them talk.
Right.
That
And
is
if they really want
low.
you to work with you, they're going to answer the phone.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about, 7-figure decisions, 8-figure decisions. And it's the best way to do it is face to face, because there's a lot that goes into that decision. You want to get the right price, get the right buyer. You want to feel confident about your decision.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get as much information as possible. You want to be well informed, and you're just not going to get there via text and email. It's just not going to happen.
And now you cover a significant area. So you're headquartered in Andover, but I read that you cover New Hampshire as well and Southern Maine. Is that correct?
Yeah, and even Rhode Island as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're So we've got a pretty good footprint, but I mean, compared to the rest of the country, what, an hour and a half, 2 hour, 3 hour radius is not a huge market area. So we just happen to cross a lot of state lines.
Okay. And for people that are tuning in, where can they find out more information about your company?
So you can find out more. You can see us online at mansardcre.com. This is MANSARDCRE.com. Or you can also check us out on YouTube. I've got some videos on there. We're constantly posting, new information on there, just answering questions we commonly run into in the market. We're also posting market update information. So sales data, sales trends to watch. So you can get a sense of where we are in the market cycle by asset type.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Is there anything we didn't cover that you'd like to touch upon?
No, this was fantastic. I just appreciate the opportunity to meet you and just have this conversation. It's really, really great.
Great. Well, thanks. And I hope everybody stays healthy, your employees, your team members, and your family. You are in my thoughts with 4 children. I have half that. And thank you again so much. Great to meet you virtually.
You too, Paula. Take care.
Bye-bye.